To ask the Honourable Vice Prime Minister, Minister of Local Government, whether in regard to buildings, she will state, since 11th July 2017, the measures taken by her ministry to improve the fire safety thereof and for the benefit of the House, obtained from the Mauritius Fire and Rescue Service information as to A, the measures taken to upgrade its firefighting equipment, and B, if the warehouse at Shoprite Mall at Trianon was in full compliance with all such currently applicable norms as at the date of the recent fire outbreak.
Madam Speaker, at the outset, allow me to express my deepest condolences and sympathy to the grieving family of late Mr. Jeewa-Daureeawoo. I am deeply saddened by the tragic loss of life of this young man in the fire outbreak at Shoprite Mauritius Limited last week. The whole nation is devastated by this sad incident. Every death is one death too many. On Saturday, 18th November, I carried out a site visit at the scene of the fire and had the opportunity to meet the parents of late Mr. Daureeawoo. While I was in office at the Ministry of Gender Equality, Child Development and Family Welfare, I gave instruction for psychological support and counseling to be offered to the parents and close relatives. In an effort to take stock of the situation and ensure coordination between the different stakeholders, a crisis committee meeting chaired by myself was held on the same afternoon of Saturday 18. The meeting comprised officers of my ministry, the Ministry of Health and Quality of Life, the Ministry of Social Security, National Solidarity and Environment and Sustainable Development, the Mauritius Police Force, the Mauritius Fire and Rescue Service, the Special Mobile Force, the Municipal Council of Catrobon, the General Manager of Shoprite Mauritius Limited, and representative of Trianon Shopping Park. The top priority was to ensure the continuity of the rescue and search operations under the supervision of relevant authorities. On Sunday, 19th November, the police confirmed that the missing body found was in fact that of late Mr. Jeewa-Daureeawoo. The crisis committee met again yesterday morning for an update on the situation and the way forward. Now we also need to consider the reopening of Trianon Shopping Park, as hundreds of jobs are at stake. However, the complex will not be open until we secure the clearances of all relevant authorities. The different ministries concerned are working to make sure that Trianon Shopping Park is safe to be open to the employees and the public at large. With regards to building and measures taken since 11th July 2017, it should be noted that the building can be categorized as follows: high-rise building, government-owned buildings, privately owned building occupied by government organization. Following a survey carried out by the Mauritius Fire and Rescue Service, which began prior to 11 July 2017, there are 342 high-rise buildings with more than 3 floors. These buildings are commercial, residential, and mixed occupancies. All these buildings have been inspected by the Mauritius Fire and Rescue Service. Out of the 342 high-rise buildings, 139 have been issued with a fire certificate after 11 July 2017. Out of the above 342 high-rise buildings, it was noted that 203 buildings do not comply with fire safety measures and fire certificates have not yet been issued. However, the Mauritius Fire and Rescue Service has initiated action to serve improvement notices in the first instance. The House may also wish to note that there are 1,229 buildings which are occupied by government organizations, out of which 1,019 are owned by the state. Prior to 11th July 2017, 60 state-owned buildings had a fire certificate. 143 buildings owned by the state do not require a fire certificate because they are not occupied by more than 20 persons and they have a floor area of less than 250 square meters. Thus, they do not fall under the parameters of the OSHA 205 and the Mauritius Fire and Rescue Service Act of 213. These 143 buildings have been inspected and issued with a fire clearance. Of the remaining 799, 287 applications have been received for a fire certificate. Of these 287, 235 have been inspected and 17 additional buildings were issued with a fire certificate. There are 210 privately owned buildings which are occupied by government organizations. Of these 210, 64 already have fire certificates and 52 do not require a fire certificate because they are occupied by less than 20 people and they have a floor area of less than 250 square meters. These 52 have been issued with a fire certificate document. Out of the 210, 94 buildings have not been issued with a fire certificate, and as such, improvement notices have already been served. With regards to commercial building in 2016, 546 commercial buildings have been issued with a fire certificate. Up to November 2017, 381 fire certificates have been issued. As regards NSDC buildings, the residential buildings which are not subject to inspection by the Mauritius Fire and Rescue Service. However, consideration will be given to the advisability for such building also to be subject to fire inspection. With regard to Victoria Hospital, one fire door was reportedly blocked, inspection was carried out, and remedial action was taken immediately. For NPF building in Rosehill, a fire certificate was issued on 1st September 2017. For Jogro building in Vakwa, an enforcement inspection effected on 10th November 2017 revealed that the building still satisfied fire safety requirements and the conditions imposed in the fire certificate issued on 10th May 2010 are complied with. The fire certificate is still valid. With regards to Joliva building, the fire certificate was revoked for non-compliance with fire safety measures on 27th May 2014, and the following authorities have been informed for action at their end: Ministry of Labour, Industrial Relations and Employment, and the Municipality of Capabone. With regards to Part A of the question, it is pertinent to mention that the budget allotted to the Mauritius Fire and Rescue Service by the Prime Minister and Minister of Finance, Honorable Pravin Kumar Jagnat, in 2015-2016, 2016-2017, and 2017-2018 has been on the rise, as the government recognizes the important role played by the fire and rescue services. With regards to Part A of the question, I am informed by the Mauritius Fire and Rescue Service that there are 1. 32 firefighting vehicles, out of which 18 are in operation in all the 10th fire station and 14 are under repairs. 52 utility vehicles, including breathing apparatus and rope rescue van, out of which 5 utility vehicles are under repair. 3 aerial ladders, out of which 1 is in operation. All the firefighters have been issued with their respective personal protective equipment, comprising fire boots, tunic and leggings, helmets, gloves, goggles, and fire hoods. Since this equipment is subject to wear and tear, a procurement exercise has already started for the renewal of defective ones. The Mauritius Fire and Rescue Service is also in the process of inducting new recruits who will join the service soon. As regards the firefighting vehicles, for this financial year, an amount of 200 million rupees has been provided under the Indian line of credit for the acquisition of 20 firefighting vehicles. 30 million rupees have also been earmarked for the purchase of 2 high-volume water pumps. My ministry has already forwarded the tender documents to the Exim Bank of India for the invitation of bids. The Exim Bank of India will undertake the procurement exercise. The delivery of the firefighting vehicles is expected in about 15 months' time, and the high-volume water pumps in about 6 months. The House may also wish to note that the Mauritius Fire and Rescue Service is expected to receive another high-volume water pump by December 2017, for which the procurement exercise was initiated last financial year. With regard to Part B of the question, in relation to the warehouse of Shoprite Mauritius Limited, I'm informed that prior to the fire outbreak, the warehouse was in full compliance inasmuch as it was the holder of a fire certificate duly issued on 19 October 2015. I may table the fire certificate to the owner of Trianon shopping park. The last enforcement inspection was carried out on 28 February 2017 by Mauritius Fire and Rescue Service, and it was observed in the inspection report, Annex B, I am tabling, that Trianon shopping park satisfied the fire safety requirements. Thank you. I wish to remind the House that there are currently 3 ongoing inquiries: a police inquiry, an inquiry by the Mauritius Fire and Rescue Service, an inquiry by the Occupational Safety and Health Division of the Ministry of Labour, Industrial Relations, Employment and Training. I will end by saying, let me assure the House that I shall consider all necessary measures for the continuous upgrading and modernization of the Mauritius and Fire Rescue Service to meet and ever be prepared for any challenges. Thank you, Madam.
Madam Speaker, at the outset, also let me say that I had the occasion to offer my condolences personally to the family, but I would also like to commend our courageous firemen for the work in extinguishing the fire. Madam Speaker, during my last PNQ, the previous minister had mentioned that he was urgently finalizing a new fire code, which would be much more stringent and give much greater safety standards for buildings. Now, 4 months after, Madam Speaker, and a tragic death which was totally avoidable has occurred, where is that new fire code which was being urgently finalized?
Well, with regards to the fire code, I understand that a validation workshop was carried out with all stakeholders concerned under the chair of Honorable Mr. Nandu Buddha, and I do understand that it will be finalized in the months to come because the validation workshop has already been completed.
Speaker, may I ask the Honourable Minister, Vice Prime Minister, whether sprinklers will now be compulsory for all buildings in Mauritius? Had we had sprinklers in the warehouse, we would not have this tragic death.
Well, I'm informed by the Mauritius Fire Rescue Service that not all buildings need necessity of having sprinklers as per the law. If we take the example of this particular building, Shoprite Mauritius Limited, it is a building dated 2002, and there is no requirement in the law that this particular building needs sprinklers. So I do understand that we have to improve the services. There is always room for improvement, and I have the firm intention of doing the needful to see to it that most of our buildings are provided with sprinklers for the safety and security of each and every one.
Madam Speaker, I'll make allowance for the Minister being newly appointed. But these sprinklers, Madam Speaker, are essential and compulsory in most countries. Can we have an outright commitment from the Vice Prime Minister that sprinklers in Mauritius will become absolutely compulsory for all buildings in Mauritius?
Well, at this stage, it will be difficult for me to confirm whether this will be able to be done, because I have said most of our buildings are old buildings, so a survey has to be carried out. And you know me very well, so if need be, if we can, we will do the needful to install inspectors, but at first we need to have a survey.
Speaker, we have thousands of buildings which are fire traps. Is the new fire code, will it be applicable only to new buildings, or are we going to ensure that it also applies to old buildings, existing buildings, because that is where people work and that is where lives are at stake. Work and live, and this is where lives are at stake.
Yes, I do understand that the Mauritius Fire and Rescue Service is already applying the fire code as an internal, for the purpose of internal use. But, well, we will see, because I have said the validation workshop has completed, and I will take it myself personally and see to it in what ways we can proceed fast.
Speaker, from the Honourable Minister's reply, there seems to be many commercial buildings which have no valid fire certificate, yet are still allowed to be open and in use. Can I ask the Honourable Vice Prime Minister why these buildings haven't been closed down pending the issue of the fire certificate and pending the installation of appropriate safety precautions?
Well, we all know that there are, as I have said, there are many buildings which do not possess the fire certificate. As I have said, needful is being done. We have sent improvement notice to all the owners. And, well, if we will have to close all the shopping mall, all the commercial building, is it a good initiative to close all the building? Because I think we have to proceed stepwise, send notice to all the shopping mall, to all the commercial buildings, requesting them to comply with the law, and then maybe this is a serious matter. So here also I think we will have to. We'll have to have a survey, and then decision will be taken.
Speaker, I'd like to have a commitment from the Honourable Vice Prime Minister that there should be no laxism in applying this rule that all buildings, commercial buildings, must have valid fire certificates. Now let's come to government buildings. Also, there appears to be hundreds of buildings with no fire certificate at all, including Emmanuel Anctil building, which is a high-rise building, very dangerous, apparently no outside staircase. Even this building, Madam Speaker, I understand has no fire certificate. It is a historic building. If you look around us, there's not even a fire extinguisher should something happen just now. So what is being done for all these government buildings? It's obvious, if we take even this building, that there has been laxism in applying the regulations.
Well, I have said in my reply that I will look at all the shortcomings. So I will convey meetings. I will have to take stock what has been done and what needs to be done, and we will come up with new measures. As I have said, we need to have our priority is the safety and security of our people. This is an important issue, and we have to deal with it properly.
Speaker, I count on the Honourable Vice Prime Minister that this will not just be words like the fire code has been promised and has never come. Madam Speaker, let me ask the Minister about following the Grenfell fire. It was found that the cladding material, the aluminium composite material, was highly dangerous. And we were supposed to go around high-rise buildings in Mauritius to find whether any such cladding was being used. Can I ask the Honourable Minister whether any aluminium composite material has been used in existing buildings, and if so, what has been done to remove them?
Let me see if the officers have the answer. Yes. Maybe you can ask another question in the meantime.
Let's come to the equipment. Do you want to answer now?
Is it a good answer? No such claddings are used in the country.
Okay.
We don't use it. So this is as per the officer.
Let them take the responsibility. Fair enough. Madam Speaker, concerning the equipment now. 4 months ago, there were 19 fire engines out of repair, out of service. 4 months later, and the death that we saw, we now have only 5 repaired in the last 4 months. Is this satisfactory, and cannot more effort be done to repair the fire engines?
Well, it is all a question of budget. This is also very important. If we are talking of improving the service, if we need money, everything, for every project, for every repairs, we need money. So, as I have said, there has been an increase in the budget. Needful is being done for the repairs to be carried out.
I'm very shocked that it is a question of money, and money cannot be found to repair a few lorries lying in the Coromandel garage of the fire service. Madam Speaker, can I ask, what about the turntable ladder? There's been only 1 out of 3 in repair. Is this also a question of money? We cannot repair the turntable ladder because the Honourable Minister of Finance has not given you money for this?
I have said in my answer that four firefighting vehicles have already been repaired. They are in the process of being repaired.
I don't think so.
Well, this is what I have been given as answer.
I think there's some confusion. I'm talking about turntable ladder. 1 out of 3 only working. Perhaps you can receive a bit of paper. I'm giving allowance, Madam Speaker. This is a new minister. Madam Speaker, I'd like to ask about the new lorries that have been promised, I think under the Indian line of credit. Have these lorries, the tenders now been awarded for these new lorries? And how many, please?
Let me... Let me see the... This is not the answer. Well, the tendering process, the tendering exercise is in process. Well, I have said in my reply that Exim Bank of India will initiate bids in due course.
I asked the Honourable Vice Prime Minister to show more diligence now that she's in post to have these new lorries ordered very, very quickly because obviously there's a great need for them. May I ask a question about Shoprite fire? One of the reasons apparently that the firemen could not stay very long, some of the firemen could not stay very long in the fire, was the lack of fire hoods which they have to protect their necks, etc. Can you tell us whether this is the case? There was a lack of fire hoods for our firemen in Shoprite, and whether these are on order.
Well, with regards to the previous question, as I have said, there is a procedure, there is a tendering exercise. We will have to respect this. We can't, skip procedures. Well, with regards to the second question, as I have said, there are three inquiries which are ongoing, so it will not be proper for me to comment on details. So I think we leave it as it is.
Madam Speaker, I'd like to ask concerning the Shoprite fire, just one question. Were there cameras inside the warehouse, and whether these cameras, the recordings, have been secured so that the police now can see whether in fact there were padlocks on the exits, whether the warehouse was overfull, and whether or not dangerous material was stocked together with other material, not kept separately. Were the cameras, have these films been secured?
Well, it is, I think it is for the inquiry to determine this particular issue. I am not in a position, I am not in a position to answer. Okay?
I wanted to reassure the family that these cameras, the films have been secured and not somehow someone has forgotten to pick up the films or something. This is just, perhaps they will know whether the films are with them.
Well, I don't think it will be proper for us at this stage to comment on this issue. As I have said, we are all concerned on this side of the house. We take it very seriously. One person has lost his life, and we don't want this to happen again. And as I have said, there are 3 inquiries which are ongoing, so we'll wait for the outcome, for the conclusion of the inquiry, and then we will decide. Okay?
Madam Speaker, in the light of the fire and with the coming end of year festivities, all the warehouses of all the supermarkets must be overly full the same. Is the Honourable Vice Prime Minister arranging for the fire services to urgently visit all the supermarket warehouses and other relevant warehouses to ensure that we do not have the same situation, which would be quite unforgivable over the next few weeks?
Yes, I take note of your suggestion.
Speaker,
So you come to your last
I have
question.
2 more questions.
2 more questions before your last question.
No, 2 more questions, that's it.
Okay, so one
One
and
last,
then
okay.
I'll
Yes,
pass on
yes,
to
Madam
others.
Speaker. Madam Speaker, in Mauritius there is no offence, I'm told, the offence of corporate manslaughter, where management, senior management, and the company itself can be brought to task in cases like this with death, etc. Is the government, is the minister coming forward with legislation to put in our law the offence of corporate manslaughter? Don't look at the Deputy Prime Minister, look at me. It's better.
Don't make comments. Please. Please.
What a comment.
She has to look at the chair. Not at you.
Yeah, I don't think, well, I will leave it to the Attorney General to look at it.
Yes, Honourable Shakeel Mohamed.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. In view of alarming information that is going around, namely that there was self-contained breathing apparatus where only 2 were available and both at the time in question were non-functional, that the fire protective clothing which was available to the fire services is not from the reliable supplier as it used to be, but now the thermal capacity is lowered and hence hampered the activity, and that no foam was used, which would have been a better process according to some experts. In light of all this, would she not consider suggesting to the Honourable Prime Minister that there should be at least a select committee of the House that is instituted to look into all the failings of the training and equipment given to the very courageous firemen and the fire services in order to improve situation and reduce risk to members of the public?
Okay, we've understood.
Well, as you have said yourself, so this is hearsay evidence, so on newspaper. So at this stage, I don't think, I will be able to commit myself. As I have said, there is already 3 inquiries which are ongoing. So let's proceed gradually, but reassure that everything will be done in a proper manner.
Merci Madame la Présidente. Suivant l'éclatement de l'incendie le dimanche 12, la ville de Quatre-Beaunes, plus précisément la région de Pellegrin, Belle-Rose, Quatre-Beaunes-Centre, ont été envahies par une épaisse fumée toxique. Est-ce que je peux savoir de l'honorable ministre si une étude a été faite soit par le Fire Services ou bien par d'autres instances du gouvernement pour voir la qualité de l'air y prévalant et quelles sont les mesures correctives qui ont été prises?
Well, this question, I think, should be addressed to environment, not to my ministry. I don't have the answer at this stage.
Honourable Bhagwan.
No?
Speaker.
As stated by the Honourable Minister, the whole population is still shocked with this tragic accident. And the Minister at least uses good officers, small office, and together with his colleague, the Minister of Health, at least to have a medical checkup rapidly be done in the regions of Pelin, as stated by Honourable Ramano, which is situated just behind the Shoprite complex, where people of the region, old persons, small children, are being affected by the smokes. Can the Minister at least liaise with his colleague, the Minister of Health, to have this medical checkup be done rapidly?
Well, the Ministry of Health is concerned. He is one of the stakeholders in all the in the crisis committee, which is being carried out. So, if need be, the Ministry will do the needful.
Yes. Last question. Oh, the leader of opposition.
Speaker,